All right, welcome back, everybody, to the basics to the internet. We have an EQ of the day, which is going to be why is there a difference in the types of, you got it, this is today's conversation topic, lag experienced in games like Call of Duty and Overwatch as opposed to Smash Bros. Or Mortal Kombat, right? So basically you have two types, right? Let's do type 1, and then you have like type 2. Right? So the first one's like your COD. This is like your Overwatch, right? These are like your FPSs. And the other ones you have like MK11, you have Street Fighter, you have Tekken, and the most famous one of them all for having issues with lag is that guy right there, Smash, right? So you'll notice that there's quite the difference between the two of them when it comes to lag, and especially on online lag is what we're specifically talking about. So here's what I want to do. I want to teach you what they both have in common and then what makes them both different. Okay, so we're going to do that down here. Okay, so they both still have the same issue, right? Where in both games there's data. So let's say I'm going to take this block right here. This represents any amount of data that's been sent. Okay, this is a total package right here. This is a packet right here of all of that data. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packets of information here. Okay, so what has to happen is, like, you have your video game, right? So this is going to represent like my console with like my keyboard and, you know, my little mouse, and I click it, right? So and that could be the Switch, that can be the PlayStation, that can be an Xbox, that can be a computer, whatever. It's something that sends out information, right? It sends it, and then it hits some kind of generator. Who cares what it is, right? It goes into some kind of data generator, and the data generator has to output it. And when it outputs it back to your computer. That's the basic stuff, right? Or outputs it back to your game. Okay, so what happens is all of these have to get sent through, like all of these packets have to get sent through whatever function machine we got here. So this could be internet, this could be the routers, this could be the modems, this could be servers, this can be peer-to-peer, this can be some hosted server, depending upon the game. Who cares what it is? It's some process. Now, if you're type 1, your FPS, what'll happen is these are what I call predictive engines. They're predictive. I'll tell you what I mean. So let's say I send out packets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Oh, my light went out on me. All right, we're back on. Sorry about that. All right, now think of it this way. I want to talk about this little highway real quick, right? Let's say I'm gonna use my home as a metaphor. I go home, I take my road, I go out, I hit a stoplight. Each of these are turns, and I go this way, and now I am at school, right? Now, that's the direction that I would prefer, because that is the quickest route to school there is, and who only takes 4 turns to school, right? But this is, once again, I'm just trying to be as quick as possible. There are alternative routes, okay? I'm going to use my alternative route as a blue pen. So maybe when I get here, I could have gone this way, but then I'd have to take this route to get to school, right? So I could have taken an alternative route. And if you watch those videos that I posted about internet and traffic and, you know, having things like fault tolerance and redundancy, right? Having more alleyways to get to a spot gives you more options. So should there be, I don't know, right here, let's say there's a crash. You can no longer take that route, where I'm going to have to take a different route, or if there's traffic, right? So data follows the same thing. Data has to follow different routes in order to get to its spot. Okay, this is where it gets interesting if you want to know the answer. Type 1 are predictive engines, okay? So let's say it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it sends out in that order, right? Along these pathways. It sends out 1, then 2, then 3, all the way all the way to 6, and they're all getting sent along this route. Well, what if these first 3 go this way, and these final 3 go this way? they're going to arrive at different times. Data can arrive, packets of data can arrive at different times. So let's say 1, 2 got there, but then 3 went one other route. It got here and then went all the way this way, right? And then it met some traffic here. And 3 never made it, but 4, 5, and 6 made it. Okay, now, type 1, predictive. What type 1 will say is, all right, we saw 1, we saw 2. We're going to predict what 3 was. So we're going to say that type 1 is predictive, right? So it's going to say, I think 3 was 3. So it'll predict that. And then it'll put it in place, and then it'll run 4, 5, 6. Now, why is that important? Well, because let's say I'm playing Call of Duty, right? And I'm running. My guy, my beautiful guy, he's running. 1, 2. At this moment during 3, I jump. And then I pull my trigger and throw a grenade. And I lob a grenade at the same time. There's my grenade. Hi-ya! And that's my 3. Well, if you've ever played Call of Duty or Overwatch, what'll happen is your character will be running, and then they'll teleport across the screen. And you're like, what just happened? Because it didn't know where 3 was, so it said you were running before. That was 1 and 2. You were running. But then, because that data didn't get sent, we think that you were continuing in that direction, so we'll keep sending you in that direction because your previous data that was being sent said you were running. And it didn't predict that you would shoot and throw a grenade at the same time or jump and nade at the same time. This is why if you ever come to that situation where, like, you come up, you round a corner, and then your opponent rounds a corner, but they don't see you, right? And then you're like, and you unload a clip in them. And then the next thing you know, you're like, because they unloaded a clip in you, and you're like, what just happened, right? They didn't see me. I got them. But then next thing I know, it glitched out, and I'm the one that got hit. Well, see, what happens is 2 people are sending data, right? And whoever's data gets received first by the system, because remember, this right here has a lot of players and a lot of these going on and only one of these going on. So we have this computer, who are you, and then we have this computer, which is Johnny Bravo over here, right? Steel Team Ricks, right? So they're all sending information to this guy, and it's predicting what's happening. So you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from your end. It's getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from this end. And it just so happens during that one spike where data wasn't being received, it predicted it. And then the moment it buffered out, it received this one first. And then it said, all right, you actually lost because my data was received by that person first. And this is where it gets kind of complicated. So I'm just going to say that's where ping has to go. This is where if you have a ping of 10 milliseconds and they have a ping of 5 milliseconds, that's why theirs gets received first, because it takes that less time to get there. And that's why ping is important. Now, then you have games like MK11, Smash in particular, where I'm playing Smash and then all of a sudden I'm online and it'll freeze. And it'll look like a PowerPoint presentation. Because Smash is not a predictive engine. It's a live read. Meaning, if 3 does not make it, it says we aren't even going to assume. I could have gotten 4, 5, 6. Man, I could have gotten all the way up to 50, but 3 wasn't there because every interaction in this game is important. It does not predict. And what it does is pauses until 3 arrives. This is like if I were to start a class and period 1, and I have 6 students, right, who are supposed to be there. But remember, number 3 took the bad route over here. They're not at school yet. And I'm like, man, I can't start until student number 3 has shown up, but they're stuck in traffic. We're paused. That's what happens in these types of games. And then when you hear things about like, let's roll back the netcode, those are two totally different things. This one is a rollback feature where it'll predict, and then once it finally receives the data, it rolls it back, meaning it replaces what you're currently seeing with what is actually there. That's why it will all of a sudden jump from one spot to another, okay? And then it will replace it with you, the one that actually died, because it'll roll back into the current state now that I have my data. Whereas this one is just, it's live net play, where if anything is missing, it goes ahead and it pauses. And that's all I wanted to teach you today, guys. That was just get you involved into understanding data transfer and stuff. And remember, as always, stay safe, guys. This is Gabs. I'm out.